Well, let's talk about Xtra and the FCC. Yeah. So I've talked about Xtra before, and I've talked about how, they did look like a DJI product, and I made a video on the main channel when I first got the Xtra Edge Pro talking about how it had to be a DJI shell company because the Xtra Edge Pro was just like the DJI Action 5 Pro. So now let's fast forward. The Verge, they took apart the Xtra views and they compared it to the internals of the DJI Pocket 3, and they found it to be identical. I mean, exactly identical. So from a standpoint of it's identical, you could see, I can understand where the FCC would have gotten involved because now there's a lot of press and a lot of chatter about Xtra being a DJI shell company or front company just to be able to sell their products still in the United States, because DJI, with this whole FCC ban, are potentially losing up to 40% of their sales because they're not available here in the States. So I can see where Xtra, even being at a discounted price, would maybe not get them that full 40% back, but it may get them 35% back. And that could be a big thing. And I think that's why Xtra was really up in their game with marketing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the FCC and what's going on, because part of me thinks it's a little bit shady what they did. Part of me thinks that, okay, it's a little bit shady what Xtra did, but let's rewind. So on July the 10th, now keep in mind the FCC has been trying to contact Xtra and these other 8 companies that are apparently DJI shell companies like Skyrover, and they were trying to get some clarification regarding the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth components. Are they DJI components? Are they manufactured over there in China at DJI's plant? And is that part of the restricted list? So apparently the Delaware address for Xtra, the certified letter came back as undeliverable. So the FCC had no other alternative but to reach out to their email address and formally say, you've got 10 days to respond to us since you haven't responded to us. So 10 days from July the 10th, which would be July the 20th, that Xtra had, plus all these other companies, they had until July the 20th to respond in writing to their letter of inquiry, their LOI from the FCC. But here's the thing that's a little bit on the fishy side. So the FCC on the 17th of July, now granted, I don't know some of the intricacies of this conversation. Did the FCC hear from Xtra? And that's why the FCC said, okay, now we're just going to look to ban them. But even if they did, they shouldn't have released what they did saying that they're going to ban or potentially ban all the Xtra products, because they did it on July 17th, 3 days before the deadline. So Xtra had until the 20th. On the 17th, FCC says, all right, we're looking to ban all their products. And if you have a Xtra product, you don't have to worry about it. You already own it. It's still going to work and everything. But from this point forward, we're looking at banning them. And now they're opening it up to a 30-day consumer opportunity to reach out to the FCC, either pro Xtra or anti Xtra, to talk about why they think that they're going to be against the ban or why they're going to be for the ban. So 30 days from the 17th. So that puts it to August 16th, which is on a Sunday. I don't think they're going to do anything on a Sunday. Don't think they're going to do anything on that Saturday. They're probably going to wait till that Monday or Tuesday. So it'll be August the 17th or 18th that the FCC will come down with their response to Xtra and what they're going to do. And I think it's really a shame, because if you rewind a little bit, and I'm not a DJI fanboy, I just kind of just look at it what it is. In my opinion, DJI, they make the best drones, period, end of story, and they make some of the best action cameras out there, period. But they begged the United States government, I mean begged, please do an audit. Do an audit on our equipment, do an audit on our app to show that we are not a security concern for the United States, even though apparently, from what I understand, there's a small portion of DJI's ownership that is tied to the China government. So I don't know if that alone was just enough cause for concern with the American government, but given the fact that DJI begged for an audit and the United States government, they just said, no, we're not going to do an audit. So now, I'm not part of the government. I've got some family that works for the government, and you know, they wouldn't tell me anyway, because I'm sure that they have to sign some kind of non-disclosure agreement about stuff like this, about national security. But maybe the US government knows something that the FCC is not willing to put out because it's in national security interest. And if that's the case, I can get that. But just come out and say, we're not doing an audit because we've already done our internal investigation. And we stand by our findings that DJI is going to be banned, and that's it. Okay. So now we got Xtra. And because the Xtra Muse 2 was going to be such a popular thing, because the DJI Pocket 4P is not available in the United States. In China, it's like 590 something when you convert it over to US dollars. 590 something dollars for the Pocket 4P, dual lens pocket camera, which, if you ask me, you look at that and you compare, let's say it's $599, okay, just for the sake of argument. You compare $599 for a powerful pocket, and I'm going to say cinema camera, because at 17 stops of dynamic range, you are now in cinema camera territory. Or you can buy a GoPro Mission 1 Pro for $700. Well, to me, that's an easy thing. I'll go $600 route and get the DJI Pocket 4P and forget GoPro, because GoPro's on its last leg anyway, because Nick Woodman, he went ahead and sunk $20 million of his own money back into GoPro just to keep it operational. That should be like a massive warning sign for a lot of people. And plus, he structured his loan to where if and when something happens with GoPro, he gets paid back all his $20 million first. And all the other debtors will have to get in line and wait. And I don't know if it's going to be through a bankruptcy or liquidation process or whatever. You know, I mean, I know that Nick Woodman said that he's looking actively for a buyer. Garmin makes sense to me, but but anyway, back to this Xtra thing. So Xtra, a lot of people complained that Xtra did a pre-reserve $20, and it would get you $60 off of the camera. And the price was $6 blank blank. Now, I want you to work with me here, okay? I think that the Xtra camera, the Xtra Muse 2 Pro, was going to come in at $660. And then you get your $60 off. Now it's $600, or maybe $599. So now it's right in line with the same pricing that the Europeans get, or anywhere else in the world besides the United States. So then you could purchase the DJI or the Xtra Muse 2 Pro for the same price. And Xtra, they went ahead and they did a New York event where they had some creators go out to New York. And then they did this LA event where they invited some creators to go out to LA. And I've spoken to two of the creators, I think one of them is about to get reimbursed for his trip and all of his expenses. I know another creator that has not gotten paid back and has not heard anything back about getting paid back. But as soon as this FCC thing really comes to light and it's really being focused on by a lot of content creators, all of a sudden Xtra, they put up that page on the pre-order, pre-funding, whatever you want to call it. But they update it, and it says basically that due to uncertain release dates for the Muse 2 Pro, they're going to go ahead and cancel this and give everybody back their money. Okay. And there's a couple creators that got the Muse 2 Pro when they went to these events. And I was lucky enough that I got a prototype unit. One of the people out at Cinema Story had went out there, and I guess Xtra told them to go ahead and give me the Muse 2 Pro that they had gotten. So I drove out to Cinema Story, and I got the Muse 2 Pro, and we chatted, and he filled me in on some things that he had talked to an Xtra rep about, which I'm not going to get into because it's kind of privy information. But I have the Xtra Muse 2 Pro. Yes, it's a prototype. Yes, it's kind of quirky. And circling back to this $20 that Xtra wanted, and a lot of people had heartburn over it. And think about it, you know, they were looking for 10,000 backers. I believe at the time that they took down the web page for that pre-order, it was 4,600 or 4,800 people had committed $20. So 20 times 4,600, add it up, that's a good substantial amount. And you're probably thinking, well, if they're part of the DJI, they don't need to raise that kind of money. Well, there is a difference between the Muse 2 Pro and the DJI Pocket 4P. And the Pocket 4P has the traditional flip screen, just like the Pocket 3, which it flips up and it stays centered, where the Muse 2 Pro, the screen can either flip up to the left to turn on or flip up to the right. So it's kind of ambidextrous. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, it gives you that ability to be able to flip it up, or maybe just the way that you're holding it that day when you're using it. But I think that since that is a difference, they were trying to gain some money to be able to pay to mass produce that function of that screen and that component and put it into this new body so that the funders' money would fund that, and then they would have a product ready for market. I like the Xtra Muse 2 Pro. I would love to get my hands on a DJI Pocket 4P. I would love to, because that's a finished product. They've already had firmware updates to it. They fixed a lot of things with it. And I think that it's a powerful camera. Looking at what the Muse 2 Pro can do, I'm excited just because how good of a camera that it is. And yes, the Insta360 Luna Ultra is a beast of a pocket camera, very innovative. Yes, it's their first time getting into the pocket camera game. But I tell you what, it may be their first time, but damn, they did a really good job with it. And they really thought outside the box with that removable screen and the built-in microphone. I think it's sad for us US consumers that we don't have that ability to get that product. And as much as I would love to get my hands on a DJI Pocket 4P, and I want you to hear me, and DJI, if you're listening, or Xtra, if you're listening and you got some contacts with DJI that can figure something out, it's just that I'm not going to spend $1,290 on a third-party site. And by third-party, I mean third-party seller from Amazon or from eBay. And I'm not going to spend $1,000 for a pocket camera that is list priced at $599 or $598. So, I mean, if I could get it, even though I would not spend $700 on a GoPro Mission 1 Pro, yes, I would spend $600 plus tax on the DJI Pocket 4P because I've got the DJI Pocket 3. I've got the Pocket 1, the original. I've got every other DJI camera except the Action 6 I didn't get because I was like, for an action camera to have that variable aperture, it makes me wonder if you drop it, because that's a mechanical function, if that's going to be something that's going to be a problem down the line after a few drops. But I mean, I've still got the DJI Action 1 and it still works. Yes, the field of view is not as wide, but so I've been a big DJI supporter. Between all the DJI drones that I purchased out of my pocket, I would still purchase a DJI Pocket 4P just because it's a finished product. And I really hope that Xtra, I mean, I really, really do, that they can figure out some way, because we don't know all the details, to say, is it really DJI? Unless you're living under a rock, you kind of know in your heart of hearts that it is a DJI thing, because DJI is suing Insta360 over the Luna Ultra because they both look so comparable to each other. But why aren't they suing Xtra when Xtra is basically a carbon copy of all the DJI products? And something that may be a thing is that there's a licensing agreement. So bear with me, play devil's advocate. Let's just say that Xtra is not part of DJI. Xtra is its own company. And let's say they came into some kind of, I was going to say 50-50, but some kind of licensing agreement with DJI to say, we're going to take a lot of your technology and we're going to put it into our own brand and we'll give you a cut of the sales. But then that still kind of falls back on, well, what happens with the Wi-Fi module, the Bluetooth module? I mean, it's still a potential problem because it's on the banned list. And Xtra said that these were all certified through the same lab in Shenzhen that DJI used. So now the FCC is going to ban that laboratory from being able to certify any of these Wi-Fi or Bluetooth modules. It's just a real big debacle. But, you know, here it is, August the 2nd, and we've got a little time to sit on it and figure it out before the final hammer drops. And, you know, part of me says, okay, well, Xtra's been really selling their products at even a bigger discount with their summer sale that they were doing on Amazon. And maybe they're just trying to clear out inventory, getting ready for the eventual ban. But now the prices are back up to where they were, and Xtra has publicly announced that they are in constant communications with the FCC. I don't know what those communications are. I don't know if they can just take a fine and continue on selling what they have and pinky promising not to release the Muse 2 Pro. If that's the case, then I've got myself a collector's item with the Muse 2 Pro prototype that I have. But I would still be interested in getting a DJI Pocket 4P because it's a finished product. So, you know, if you happen to have a DJI Pocket 4P and you got two of them and you went to China on vacation and you got two of them and you've got an extra one and you're willing to sell it for just a hair above what you paid for it, you know, and plus shipping, drop me a line, let me know. And I may be able to want to take it off of your hands, even though it may be slightly used, as long as it's functional, as long as it works. That's my biggest thing. But yeah, interesting times. So we've got better part of 2 weeks, and then we're going to know. And then everybody and their mother are going to put out videos about Xtra and their whole take on Xtra dodged a bullet or Xtra was the villain in disguise the entire time. And speaking of Xtra, I'm using the DJI Mic Mini with the Xtra Atto right now. Xtra Atto. Well, you can't see the screen because when you have a wireless mic hooked up to it, the screen goes blank, but you do see the audio meter. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. So tell me down in the comment section below, what is your thought about this whole debacle with Xtra and DJI and the FCC? If you were psychic or a prognosticator, and you can sit there and say, okay, I think that this is going to happen, give me your Nostradamus prediction down in the comment section. Are they gone, or will they dodge a bullet? Let me know. Bye.